While fewer millennials and Gen Zs want to drive than their parents' generation, learning to drive is still considered by many to be an act of passage to adulthood. So too, of course, is the yearning that some of our teenagers may have for a car of their own. While that dreaming may or not match with reality, finding an appropriate car to learn in or indeed to own as a first car is the bit of the process that us parents try to figure out for ourselves. Today, I'm going to try and help you out with that last bit of the process by examining some cars I think might make great first-time vehicles for aspiring teenagers looking to get behind the wheel. And because of the whole remit of our channel, I'm going to focus on some plug-in cars that might not be a bad place to start from. First, why electric or plug-in? Well, aside from being super cheap to fuel, electric cars tend to be pretty reliable too. There are no expensive oil changes to worry about, they offer predictable performance, and frankly are pretty forgiving of less experienced drivers. Lower end, more affordable models that are 4 to 6 years old also tend to have smaller ranges than today's new electric vehicles, which, how should I put this, might help ensure that your new teenage driver doesn't stray too far from home or get in too much trouble, although that doesn't always happen. They're also pretty cheap to insure. At least they are if you're not buying a high-end, high-performance plug-in. But to be honest, anyone who buys their child a high-end car as their first vehicle is probably not watching this channel in order to get advice on the topic. Price-wise, although you might find buying one is more expensive than buying some old Beta off of eBay, the benefits of not having to worry about reliability issues can really pay off. Of course, if you're looking for a first car for your teenager, there's also the possibility of passing on your old electric car. That's if you have one already, and getting yourself an upgrade, which would be a win-win scenario. Another bonus, of course, to electric cars that's worth noting is the lack of gear changing. Although some countries are now almost exclusively automatic, some places in the world, the UK, for example, still tend to get learners behind the wheel of a manual or a stick-shift car first. As if you take your test in the UK in an automatic vehicle, you're restricted to only being allowed to drive automatics. Pros and cons aside, let's look at some of the models I think are great first-time cars. I'm going to start with the first generation, that's 2011 through 2016 Nissan Leaf, a car that, yes, while it has its problems, is generally robust and predictable enough that it's pretty forgiving on learner drivers. The biggest downside, of course, battery life. Leafs do suffer from battery degradation with time and heat exposure, which limits range. Our own Leaf is a 2013 with 80,000 and some miles on the clock. It manages about 60 miles per charge if you're careful. All-round visibility isn't too bad and the car's dashboard is clear and simple. There's a digital speedometer which removes the guesswork and is easy to read from both the driver's seat and the front seat passenger place. Good if you're teaching your child to drive. The dash isn't cluttered and the interior is functional but pretty hard wearing. And if the car has it enabled, remote telematics to warm the car up is a great thing on the days when your teenager is running late in the winter for school and hasn't scraped the ice off the windscreen. If you're in Europe, you can't go bad with a Renault Zoe either. Smaller than the Leaf, the Zoe is stylish and easy to drive with more than enough space in the back for your teenager's bits and bobs. If you're in a more urban environment, a Twizy might even be a good option too if you're looking for a bargain basement vehicle and your teenager likes the idea of driving a limited speed runabout around. In both cases though, you should check to make sure that the battery rental costs of Renault vehicles don't push you out of budget. The interior of early Zoes wasn't quite as robust as the Leafs either, but they're still a great first car. Let's go back to North America, where a Chevy Spark EV might also make a good deal. They also happen to be pretty decently priced on the used car market and have great all-round visibility. However, they are a little more sporty than some of the other options I'm mentioning and don't mess around when you put the pedal to the floor. That might be seen as an advantage to get your new driver out of trouble, but it could also be a problem if your teen has a lead right foot or lights racing from the stoplights. Rapid charging was available as an option too on the Spark EV, so make sure you check if you consider buying one. Because it's a Chevy, you shouldn't have too many issues with servicing and parts, and because it was available as a gasoline car as well, this is a great stealth EV for a teen who doesn't want to scream about their car's eco-credentials. In a similar vein, the Fiat 500e might be a hit if your teen is style conscious. It too has a similar get up and go to the Spark EV, but it doesn't have rapid charging and it's only available as a 3-door. There's a little less space inside for rear seat passengers, but it's a forgiving car with easy to read dials and unmistakable charm for the first time learner. Plus, like the Spark EV, it's super easy to park with almost zero blind spots. Finally, there's the Smart Fortwo ED. They are some of the cheapest electric cars on sale today if you play your cards right, partly because they never offered particularly good range, and if you're in Europe, you may be super lucky to get one with rapid charging AC capabilities, although I understand that's pretty rare. In other markets, quick charging wasn't an option, however. On the plus side, they are just 2-seaters, so your teen can't get into trouble with a whole lot of friends. Do you have a young driver in your house? What electric car choices are you considering for them, or rather with them? And what cars would you recommend to others? Let us know in the comments below. That's it. Thanks for watching. Let us know if you liked it or you didn't like it below. Scribble a comment, hit the notification bell and support us through Patreon, Ko-fi, or by grabbing some swag from our swag shop. I'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, keep evolving.